Lao Mountain Taoist. From ancient times to the present, cultivating the Tao and achieving immortality has been a cherished aspiration for all. From the legends of the Yellow Emperor riding a dragon to ascend to the heavens, to Qin Shi Huang's pursuit of elixirs for eternal youth, and to modern scientific and technological advancements for health and longevity, as well as the portrayal of time, travel reversals in movies and TV shows, every instance reflects humanity's fascination with this idea. In Mr. Pusongaling's Strange Stories from a Chinese Studio, there are accounts of ordinary people achieving Tao through various mystical practices, such as the story of the Taoist of Mount Lao. In a county, there was a scholar surnamed Wang, 7th in birth order, hailing from a scholarly and official family, who had admired Taoist arts from a young age. Hearing that there were many immortals on Mount Lao, he packed his belongings and set off in search of immortals to learn their ways. Upon reaching a mountaintop, he saw a Taoist temple enveloped in a serene environment. A Taoist sat on a mat, his white hair flowing down to his neck, exuding an air of clarity and mastery. Wang approached, paid his respects, and engaged in conversation with the Taoist, finding his teachings profoundly mysterious. He requested to become the Taoist disciple, to which the Taoist replied, "I fear you may be too delicate and accustomed to ease, and able to endure hardships." Wang answered, "I can endure hardships." The Taoist had many disciples, who gathered in the evening. Wang greeted each one respectfully and stayed at the temple. The following morning at dawn, the Taoist summoned Wang and handed him an axe, instructing him to join the other disciples in chopping firewood. Wang respectfully accepted the task. After a month, Wang's hands and feet were covered in calluses, and he could no longer bear such toil. Secretly, the thought of returning home started to form in his mind. One evening, he returned to the monastery and saw the guests sitting together with the master, enjoying drinks. The sky was already dark, and the candles had not been lit yet. The master then cut a piece of paper in the shape of a mirror and pasted it on the wall. In a moment, that paper transformed into a bright moon, illuminating the room with radiant light. The disciples bustled around, serving attentively. One of the guests said, "Such a beautiful night and scenery, it's a pleasure that we must all share." So, he picked up the wine jug from the table and shared the wine among the disciples, urging them to drink to their heart's content. Wang Sheng thought to himself, how could 7 or 8 people finish a jug of wine? Nonetheless, everyone grabbed cups and bowls, competing to drink, fearing that the wine in the jug would run out. However, despite the constant pouring and drinking, the wine in the jug seemed to never diminish. Wang Sheng was extremely puzzled. After a while, one guest said, "We are grateful for the moonlight you provided to illuminate us. But drinking like this still feels somewhat lonely. Why not call upon Chang'e?" Saying so, he threw his chopsticks towards the moon. Suddenly, a beautiful woman floated out from the moonlight. At first, she was less than a foot tall, but once she landed on the ground, she became the size of an ordinary person. With graceful movements of her slender waist and elegant neck, she began to dance the rainbow skirt dance. Then she sang, "O divine beings, you've returned to the mortal realm, but why have you imprisoned me in the palace of cold homage?" Her singing voice was clear and melodious, as enchanting as playing the flute. After finishing the song, she gracefully rose and floated back into the air, landing on the table. As everyone watched in astonishment, she transformed back into a pair of chopsticks. The master and the 2 guests burst into laughter. Another guest said, "Tonight has been most delightful, but I'm getting quite drunk. Would you two accompany me to the Moon Palace for a farewell drink?" So, the 3 of them changed their seats and gradually entered the Moon Palace. The disciples looked up at the 3 people seated in the Moon Palace. Their beards and eyebrows visible as clear as day, just like shadows in a mirror. After a while, the moon's light gradually dimmed. The disciples lit candles, revealing the master sitting alone while the guests were nowhere to be found. Dishes and fruit pits remained on the table. The moon on the wall was nothing but a round piece of paper resembling a mirror. The master asked the disciples, "Have you had enough to drink?" They all answered, "Yes." The master said, "If you've had your fill, then go to bed early. Don't delay chopping firewood tomorrow." The disciples agreed and left. Wang Sheng's feelings of surprise and envy turned into nothing as he headed back home. A month passed, and Wang Sheng couldn't bear the hardships any longer. However, the Taoist still hadn't taught him any spells. Unable to contain his frustration, Wang Sheng took his leave from the Taoist, saying, "Disciple has traveled hundreds of miles to seek guidance from the immortal master. Even if I can't learn the secret of immortality, if I could just learn a few minor spells, it would soothe the eagerness in my heart to learn." For the past 2 or 3 months, all I do is gather firewood in the morning and return to sleep at night. I've never experienced such hardships at home." The Taoist chuckled and said, "I told you that you can endure hardships, and it's true. I'll send you back tomorrow morning." Wang Sheng pleaded, "After toiling here for days, please teach me a little spell. Just something small. This journey wouldn't be in vain then." The Taoist asked, "What kind of spell do you want to learn?" Wang Sheng replied, "Whenever I've seen the places you go, walls can't obstruct you. If I could learn that spell, I'd be content." The Taoist smiled and agreed. He then imparted the secret to him, and after Wang Sheng finished reciting it, the Taoist loudly said, "Go through the wall." Facing the wall, Wang Sheng hesitated to proceed. The Taoist said, "Try walking into it." Wang Sheng confidently stepped forward, reached the wall, and was stopped by it. The Taoist said, "Bow your head and charge forward without hesitation." Wang Sheng indeed left the wall several steps behind and dashed through it. As he passed through the wall, he felt like it was empty and insubstantial. Turning round, he saw himself on the other side of the wall. Delighted, Wang Sheng returned to express his gratitude to the Taoist. The Taoist advised him, "After your return, maintain self-discipline and virtue, or else the spells won't work." He then gave Wang Sheng some travel expenses and sent him back home. Back at home, Wang Sheng couldn't resist boasting to others about his ability, believing that no sturdy wall could stop him. His wife didn't believe him. Wang Sheng imitated his actions from that day, moved a few steps away from the wall, and ran towards it. He hit the solid wall, fell down suddenly, his forehead stinging painfully and swelling into a goose-egg-sized bump. His wife mocked him, and Wang Sheng felt both embarrassed and angry, thinking that the master had played a trick on him. Yi Shishi remarks, "Those who have heard the story of Wang Sheng cannot help but laugh heartily. Yet little do they know that there are quite a few Wang Shengs in the world, and willing to put an effort yet full of self-importance, and some people are just what they want, leading them to become progressively conceited. They enjoy flattery but detest sincere advice, until they eventually hit a wall they can't pass."